Welcome to Identity and Media. On today's episode, we will be talking about social stratification and specifically how that relates to identity. Now, social stratification is something that affects our identity and our everyday lives in so many ways. So we're going to get into that in this episode. First of all, we're going to start off with what is social stratification. Social stratification is the study of how different social groupings relate to one another. These concepts include things like class, race, and gender. By analyzing through the social stratification lens, it allows people to understand how inequalities arise in society. Now, why does this matter in terms of our identities? This goes hand in hand with our identities because perceptions of these different groupings and how they relate affect how we are allowed to live our lives. For example, there is no doubt that there is a racial hierarchy in society, and this is an example of social stratification. From the very beginning, we've had white men who have been considered to be at the top of this racial hierarchy, and people of color, specifically Black people, are at the bottom. This was apparent during slavery when that was legal, and even after slavery was abolished, Black people still continue to face racism and discrimination, and that still comes with people of color as well. It's a system that has been unable to be fixed. But how does this affect a person's identity? When talking about identity, we use identifiers like things we believe, personality traits, or physical appearance to place ourselves in these categories. And in many ways, by using these identifiers, it affects us in ways that we may not expect initially. But because social constructs have been put into place and it's very hard to change them, people can begin to question their identity, and how we feel about how we identify is always changing as well. When talking about social stratification and discussing the different pyramid schemes that come with different parts of how we identify, like race, gender, religion, class, and more, these placements can affect us in negative or positive ways, but there's a great amount of inequality that's still involved with all of that. In the media, the representation of these different identities plays into the hierarchy put into place by society, affecting people as a whole. And the media can exaggerate this hierarchy of different identifiers we associate ourselves with. Thus, this creates an environment it creates a society full of assumptions, stereotypes, and inaccuracies about people's identities. And that is how social stratification and identity are related. That's all for this episode. Until next time, this has been Identity and Media.